1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hello and welcome, guys. Let's start off the day with looking at gold. This video would most probably be helpful for those of you guys who are looking for the main directions and for the movements for gold, because I'll be focusing on the weekly, daily and the H4 time frame. So in these three time frames, you can be looking for the bigger movements and potential zones where we can be trading for the week. So before we start, we should be focusing on the bigger zones, which is the weekly, daily and H4. So what do I have on the screen right now is I am identifying the good zones to be trading in. So let's start off with all the zones that we have right now. Where currently price is right now, we are looking for first the engulfing fill, second the engulfing sell, third potential engulfing sell in a selling zone. So where price is right now is it has only created first this engulfing sell, and then in the same zone we have this engulfing sell as well, which means that we need the second engulfing sell for gold. So that is only our confirmation for now, and if price could push up into this zone, which is at 1825 all the way to 1852, and price rejects that area and then creates a bearish engulfing in that zone, that would be a really good zone to sell, and then we can swing the sell all the way down. But for now, where price is, it needs to still close as another engulfing 2 for the weekly time frame. So that's why this week we need to really monitor the smaller time frames like daily and H4. If price wants to fly or price wants to drop, it will depend on the smaller time frame. So far, do you guys understand? Because if you guys do not understand, you guys can send me a message at Sir Gerard Black, and I will try my best to reply and send you my thoughts as well. So now let's clean up the charts a bit. We have the purple, we have so many lines over here. So for now, let's focus on marking new zones. So let's remove this. Wow, look at how beautiful it is. Beautiful. Okay, so now let's start off marking the weekly time frame. We have first this weekly area. Second, we also have this weekly line, which I potentially feel that there will be potential projection from this area. And let's look at the lower part. Where is the potential buying zone for the weekly time frame? So for the weekly time frame, what we can see is we might have this area over here. So as you can see, this is our engulfing fill. So this engulfing fill has a rejection around here. We have the first big movement happening from gold for the weekly time frame in that zone. So I would be waiting for at least price to be coming back into this zone, and then for price to close and create a new buying setup in the weekly time frame over here. So remember, red box is the weekly time frame. We want to be trading in the weekly time frame because weekly and daily is the key area where we should be targeting for the buy or the sell. Hold on. Okay, so now we are done with the weekly time frame. Now let's start looking at the daily time frame. What is price doing and what has it been doing for the last few days? So we have identified weekly zones. Right now, all we need to do is identify the daily zones. So I'm going to change it to a blue colored box. So now, where would be the engulfing field that we need to choose from? Is all from this zone. So first, where is a potential engulfing field that we can choose? So I'm going to pick this engulfing field over here, and then this is going to be the high. So obviously that I want price to stay below this level. So why do I choose this engulfing field over here? The reason is, let me show you, this is it. So this is the engulfing field that I have chosen because of the structure, and price has been respecting so far. So we have the first rejection over here, and then we have the second rejection also over here. So basically price has been on a level where it has not broken this level of resistance yet. So that's why it is still a valid engulfing fail for me. So some of you might have asked me like, oh, you can also choose this engulfing fail over here. You can also choose this engulfing fail over here, and obviously we can choose, but which is the best and the highest potential zone, because these two engulfing fails has only highs of this level, and for me this engulfing over here has only a level of support and resistance which is only this and this. This one has a stronger potential because it has been retested once, twice, and now price potentially might create the second engulfing. So I'll explain this in detail into the private group so that you guys will understand better. So let's remove all these lines first and focus on this engulfing fail. Okay, so this is our zone for the engulfing fail. So what do we have right now is first engulfing sell to engulfing sell, and then price came back into the zone, creating new engulfing sells. So what we have right now is this potential price pulling back into the zone, and then maybe it can drop all the way down again. So as long as it stays below 1812.2 or 1811.5, it still could be doing a potential sell from the daily time frame. So if I'm going to be marking, this is going to be my first engulfing sell, or this is my first engulfing sell for the daily time frame. And then what I have is also price coming back into the zone, closing as our second engulfing sell. So basically in this moment what we could see is that price has come back into the zone and close as our third engulfing sell. So if I want to look at price properly, I need to zoom into it and put a line at the opening of this level, and I have identified that price has actually made an opening lower than this daily low, which means that we have a daily potential set up for the sell. And this is just the pullback into the zone. So you guys have to remember that there will be pullbacks into the zone, and that is the reason why this pullback has rejected almost 200 pips down. But then from that moment, price again went all the way up. It went all the way up to retest, remember, the engulfing fail, highest zone of engulfing fail, which is at 1812, 1811. So from that moment, this should be the highest point for the rejection. And now if this setup for daily is valid, we might see all the way down, at least coming back into this lower zone again of 1739, which is about 600 pips, 500-600 pips, which is our first rejection area. So for daily time frame, where I'll be marking is this level, and this level why I am marking, because again this is our engulfing fail, and then we have these two rejections over here, the first rejection over here and the second rejection over here. So that's why we have price coming back into this zone, and I will be focusing on waiting if price rejects this level. It's very important for price to close in this zone, and for me, if price wants to fly again from here, it will need to decide on the daily closure. When price is around this area, I will start looking for it, but for now I'll be focusing on only marking this zone because price is at this area. So I rather be focusing on finding the sells into this lower zone rather than focusing on things that is so far away. So now we have identified the daily potential zones for this area, and let's start looking at the next daily area, because we need to identify at least this is the first daily potential zone, this is also the first potential zone for the buy. But remember, we need to always be marking two daily zones. We cannot be only focusing on one daily zone. So right now, if I want to be marking the next daily potential zone, it can be around this area. Let me try and look for it. So where is the daily potential zone? Is this potential? Yes, could be. This could be a potential zone. So why do I say that? Is because first, this is again our engulfing fail, and in this engulfing fail we have identified price from this level. So it has created our first engulfing cell over here. As you can see, this is our first engulfing cell, and then price came back into the zone to close as the second engulfing cell. So that is why this is a valid selling zone for me. So where I'm going to be marking this is, let me see, this is the first field, this is the first cell, this is the pullback into the zone, and then we have this level. So this is going to be my level of the daily time frame. So unless price close and creates new selling setup around this zone, I would be waiting for price here. So this is daily, this is daily, this is also daily. So this is really key important areas, because I would say that this is the daily high liquidity sell, and I would say this is a complete level for the sell. I will also be marking this level as a daily high liquidity sell, which is also a complete level. So if price wants to make a buy or a sell, it needs to respect this high, which is at 1812, and then it also needs to respect this high at 1879. So these are two key areas where I'll be looking for potential sells. Okay, now we have found the first potential buy. We need to identify the second potential buy for the daily time frame. So let's start looking at zones around this area. Could this be your first zone? Let me zoom in a bit. So this is going to be a bit tricky, because we need to really identify zones based on gaps, because we have seen over here that the market structure is a bit tricky due to the fact that we have a lot of gaps in the market. So what we have right now, we need to identify, this is still our engulfing fail, and if you can see, we have a gap over here. So we might see that this is a green candle going up. So I will be marking this level over here as my first engulfing fail zone. So this is my first engulfing fail. We have some rejection coming into the market. So we have the first, we have the second engulfing. So these are just potential buys and buys and buys and buys. But what we want is price literally coming back into the lower zones. And let me see. Okay, so what we can see over here is that all these buys has been broken by this candlestick. So we could have marked this zone earlier, knowing that this was maybe the buy, this was also maybe the buy, but then as soon as price broke this level, but what you can see over here is that as soon as price broke this level, this is not a valid zone anymore. So potentially we might be finding new buying zones for the daily time frame, and this could be one of the daily zones. So let's see if yes, this is still a valid zone for the failed, then this is an engulfing buy, and we also have the next engulfing buy over here, which makes this as our daily zone. So it should still respect this level as long as price does not break 1612. Okay, so this is very, very important. And for gold, I would say that daily and weekly time frame, these are the key zones that you guys need to be waiting and looking forward to trading in. Next, let's start looking at the H4 time frame. H4 time frame is going to be very tricky, because we have to realize that our H4 zone is around this area, because I remember looking for H4 zones around this area, and I have identified, I think this is level. So let me see this. Yes, can you see this purple zone over this? Let me see. Sorry guys. Okay, sorry. So this level over here was our weekly level, and H4 we have to find for new selling zones. You know, remove this, remove this. So where is the highest potential zone? So I would say that let's try and look for first this area. I'm going to change this to purple. I'm also going to change this to a purple line. So we have identified right now that first we have this level. This is our engulfing fail. So what do we need to know for price to respect this level is, first it needs to close as an engulfing fail. This is the engulfing fail that we have. Second, we need to make sure that price comes back into an area where I would say that this could be an area. This is a potential zone. It is a zone from 1807 all the way to 1810. And if price closes as a sell in that zone, it'll be quite a good one. But sometimes price does not all come back all the way there. So this is going to be the first rejection in that zone. And then in that second pullback, price has not create any new selling zone in here. So which means that the sell that happened, it was not because of the H4 sell. Okay, so what do I see right now is just rejection after rejection, but there isn't a setup. So that's why I had to wait for price to create this. So as you can see over here, we have price coming back into the zone, and as you can see, price just touched this level and then price just rejected. Why? Because only the shadow came into the zone. Can you see these two purple lines? We need price to close as a solid body inside. So that is why price came back into the zone and then broke that H4 level. So our H4 level for this engulfing fail cannot be used anymore due to the fact that this happened. Because when this happened, we have to anticipate that there will be higher H4 levels waiting for us. So the next H4 level could be from this engulfing and also this engulfing fail. So let's see if there is any new potential setup in this zone. So first, this is an engulfing fail. We have the engulfing sell over here. We need price to break so that price can reject all the way up, maybe into this H4 level, which is at this and this. So still, price has not rejected in that level, but we have the lower levels of this and this. So potentially if price comes back and breaks this, it did not even create a sell in that zone. So we need price to still create a sell in the zone. So maybe if there will be pullbacks into the H4 zone, we might be taking sells from that level. Okay, so for me, H4 levels is still very, very far away. So before we go into H4 levels, there could be a H1 or M30 or whatsoever level around this area to try and push price back down. Or if there isn't a sell setup, there would be buy setup to push price back all the way up into the H4. So that's gold for now. And if we are in the zones of H4 daily and also weekly, we need to take the trades, because we are on a level where daily could be rejecting all the way for the sell back to 1739. So please be aware for rejection zones. And right now there isn't much H1 or even M30, but if there will be any rejection for sell and a new setup for the sell appears, we might be able to see price being pushed all the way down. Okay, so that's it for now for gold, and I will keep you guys updated, and of course new setups and whatsoever, I'll send it over. But for now, just focus on the daily, weekly zones. Alright, thank you guys.